Yeah, let's just dive right in. Me and Earl kind of got into a heated battle this morning, so we're going to save our takes for last. But, G, in your opinion, which Cavaliers player entering the 2026 postseason is under the most pressure? There is a right answer. There is multiple wrong answers. So hopefully you end up on the right side of history.
Man, this is the easiest one y'all gave me. It's easy because this person is a swing vote, like we say in politics. He's a swing vote. If their Cavs are good and they're playing well, then you tell me, you show me Evan Mobley, and I'll look at his numbers, and it says he's playing and he's getting you 24 and 12 and a couple of blocks, playing great defense and being aggressive. But if you told me Evan Mobley is playing bad, I show you the Cavs to get beat in the first round, looking terrible because he averaged 14.6 rebounds and is in foul trouble the whole first half. No. Evan Mobley has the most to prove out of anybody else because Donovan is going to be here. He has pressure on him because he's the best player, but he will be here. James Harden is going to opt into this contract. He shall be here. Whatever they do in the playoffs, we would be disappointed if they didn't show up and do nothing, and we will talk about them for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the summer. But if Evan Mobley don't do nothing, well, then again, now we're going to have a question because now Donovan Mitchell, we saw how it went with Darius Garland. He was all in on Darius Garland until he wasn't all in on Darius Garland and figured out, I might not be able to count on you. If Evan Mobley's not able to be counted on, we just sat up here on UCSS and talked about it, man. You got Giannis, you got LeBron, you got a bunch of other guys that you need to look at upgrading this roster. And if Evan Mobley does not show up in these playoff series, he's going to be one of the first dudes that we talk about, including Jared Allen, that they need to upgrade to get the Cavs where they need to go. So for him, this is pivotal. If he comes out in balls, Donovan might say, you cool with me. If not, not really. Not really. I don't understand how you choose anybody else.
That was a nice soliloquy, G, but you could not be more wrong. What is your answer to this question? Who is under the most pressure?
G, you are absolutely right that it is a big 2 weeks to 2 months, hopefully, for Evan Mobley. But you are wrong. It's Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
This guy's the captain. This guy's the head of the snake. This guy's the highest paid player. You don't trade for James Harden without Donovan Mitchell saying, I want to do it. This team doesn't serve tacos on Tuesday after practice without Donovan Mitchell saying, I would like tacos with extra tomatoes after practice, right? Like, this is the guy that's going to do it. He's not going to wear it all, and that's why they went and got Harden. Mobley needs to be great. Allen needs to be great. They need to be healthy. But the most pressure is on Donovan Mitchell because he's the spokesman for the team. He's the highest paid player for the team. All the things I just listed, this is him. He's done it to an extent on the playoff stage, but he's far enough in his career and respected enough in his career that what he hasn't done hangs over him. And this organization subtly, it was one splash move a few years ago, but subtly has shifted to his team. He needs to do it right now. This team needs to make the NBA Finals, and Donovan Mitchell has to be the leader of the operation.
Dang,
Zach, that was brilliant.
Finals are bust.
Brilliant, Zach.
Finals are bust. Oh, you believe that?
I think Mike lost his damn mind. Zach, I think you lost your damn mind too. Respectfully, I think this is crazy. This is absolute crazy. It is people like Mike Lucas who absolutely drives me crazy, right? Because Mike want to have it both ways. And what I mean by that, he's a basketball savant. I think his basketball mind is brilliant. I think Mike is a guy who leans on stats for damn near a lot of what he wants to talk about, right? Mike has told me time in and time out, a guy that's 6'2" cannot lead you to an NBA championship as your main guy, unless that guy is Steph Curry. History shows that is a proven fact, right? But if Mike was to pull up Donovan Mitchell's stats, we all get it, we understand. He done had several second-round exits, never been out the second round. But Donovan has averaged 29.3 points per game in the second round alone over the last 2 years. For his career, he averages 28.3. That is 7th all-time in NBA history. So what's my point? Basketball is one of those sports, just like football, just like baseball. It's an ultimate team sport. And if Donovan Mitchell don't have the measurables to be the primary guy, and you need to build a team around him in order for him to get to that next level, it'll be a whole different story if we can look at Donovan Mitchell and say, you know what, his production is not there come playoff time. The production is there, the results are not. And I can't sit here and say the results are not because Donovan Mitchell is not handling his business. To me, the person that's under the most pressure is James Harden, because James Harden is a future Hall of Famer, top 75 player of all time, multiple time scoring champion, MVP, your top 10 all time in assists and points per game, and The knock on you is that come playoff time, you don't show up, especially if you get to a game 7. And so knowing that you got that stain on your resume and knowing that an NBA championship is needed to complete your resume, I got to put him under the most pressure because at least Donovan Mitchell shows up statistically in the playoffs, and he's not the reason why, at least I think, why they don't get to the next round.
I'm a co-sign. Listen, actually, to be truthful, my answer is right, but leave that alone. I'm a co-sign Earl's because
You're
I
gonna
like
co-sign another wrong answer?
No, I'm a co-sign that one because if you look at it from James Harden's perspective, when his resume is done, I would say Chris Paul's resume is the most disappointing ever, and because he just never got it done. But if you look at James Harden, he didn't play with Kawhi, he didn't play with Durant, he didn't play with Westbrook. He didn't play with Durant twice. He didn't play with Dwight Howard. He didn't play with this is crazy, Paul George. He's also played with Donovan Mitchell. And if you can't get it done and you didn't play, all of those are Hall of Famers. And I'm talking about top 25. If you play with all of them dudes and you don't even get to a championship or win a championship, that's a big indictment, man.
He's been to a championship. He hasn't won a championship. He's been to multiple conference finals, and the Cavaliers traded for James Harden to help get Donovan Mitchell to a level he has yet to get to. Guys, in the NBA, ring culture is as prevalent as it is in any other sport. We hold guys to a certain standard based on the success they've had in the playoffs. Are they an apex predator capable of bringing their team to the highest of high levels? And this is year 9 for Donovan Mitchell. In 8 years prior, he's yet to reach out of the second round. And Earl, you're right. It is not his fault. He has been an incredible playoff performer for his career. He's at 28.3 points per game in the playoffs, shooting 44% from the floor and 36% from beyond the arc. He is not the individual reason why his teams have not had the playoff success they've needed to. But the Cavs pushed all their chips in on Donovan Mitchell. They traded 5 first-round picks, or the equivalent of 5 first-round picks, a guy in Lauri Markkanen to go and bring him here because he was the missing piece. Donovan is the face of the franchise. Donovan's a guy who does not want to end his career in the same category as some other all-time greats who were not able to reach that pinnacle, that peak that is holding them back from being considered one of the 20, 25 best players of all time. You can't be in that conversation if you don't have the playoff success. Donovan's at a crossroad right now. If year 9, you haven't proven when you're at the peak of your power, possible back-to-back first-team All-NBA seasons, that you aren't capable of getting past the second round of the playoffs. As a number 1 seed last year with 64 regular season wins and a historic point differential, and this year with the most expensive roster in basketball, yeah, the pressure's on Donovan. Now, luckily, I think he's built for these kind of moments. I think he loves this kind of pressure. He told us, Earl, you were in the press conference sitting right next to me last year when they lost to Indiana and multiple times this season. I know nothing matters in the regular season. All we're being judged on is the playoffs. Why? Because the pressure and the magnifying glass is on 45, and it's on him to deliver the Cavs a depth in the playoffs, a run that they haven't been on without LeBron James.
Preach.
That was nice, right? That was nice. That was cute.
Correct.
Yeah, that was cute and all this, but tell his teammates to show up. Because at the end of the day, you know, you could trade 5 first-round picks for him all day long. Donovan Mitchell has done nothing but produce. But everybody that knows a thing or two about basketball lets me know that anybody at his stature can't be your number 1 option. So if Donovan Mitchell is showing up in the playoffs and his teammates are not, okay, well then you got to take that L with the rest of your team. I just think it's a different conversation if he's not showing up. Back to James Harden. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just him and Karl Malone are the only 2 players in the top 10 of all time as far as total points scored in the NBA that don't have a championship. So when you talk about getting to the end of your career and your resume being incomplete, James Harden could very well possibly be the next Karl Malone. Yeah. Statistically, one of the greatest players you've ever seen play, but you don't have the ring to prove to back it up. I'm not trying to say that like Donovan don't need to go get a ring. He do. But at the end of the day, like, you need every moving part on this team to be moving in the right direction in order for you to achieve the overall goal. And this is why I say, like, we can't have it both ways. When a lot of these sports, you are codependent on somebody else to get you to the promised land. We're not talking about a singles match in tennis. We ain't talking about swimming. We're not talking about cycling. We ain't talking about boxing. We're not talking about golf. All those sports is you and your performance alone that it determines on how far you go. Donovan can ball his ass out game in and game out. And if everybody else don't show up, we're going to be back here having the same conversation.
All right, let me ask you a question real quick, because you're a Cleveland guy. In 2018, when the Cavaliers got swept in the NBA Finals by the Golden State Warriors, despite the fact LeBron James leading basically the entire series in every important category,
Thank you.
who got the blame?
No.
LeBron got the blame, but he shouldn't have.
Now McNuggets,
So
on that,
your point, what you're saying is right. That's just not how reality works.
Nah.
That's not the world we live in.
that is thank you for bringing up that point. The greatest game I ever saw LeBron James play
Game
in
one
my
of the
life
NBA
is
Finals.
Game 1 in NBA Finals
And we
against
lost.
the greatest team of all time.
And we lost.
50-point triple-double, controlled the pace, neutralized Kevin Durant. He just with guys like with Rodney Hood. And guess what? At the end of the game, all you had a one bogus call on a charge and J.R. Smith forgetting what time was on the clock or whether or not they needed a 3 or 2 cost them the whole doggone game. And guess what? We gonna say LeBron? That was LeBron problem?
That'd be my point with some of these conversations.
No.
But who was the most pressure on there?
LeBron, yes.
Other guys buckled under it, but
Yeah.
LeBron had the most pressure. That's what we're talking about here.
But
Thank you, Zach.
But I do think when you say who had the most pressure, J.R. Smith definitely felt that pressure.
Well, he had too much, but he didn't have the most.
J.R. really melted. He melted so much that he just was like, you know what, I'm done after that. I'm cool.
I just look at it like, for me, it's James Harden for everything I just laid out. I think Zach and Mike, y'all did a nice job of trying to make that argument, but I'm not buying what y'all selling.
There's
right there.
only one person who gonna get traded if they don't play well.
I do agree with that. I definitely
There's
agree with
nobody else on. Like when you talk about pressure, like you want to. If they get beat in the first round and Evan Mobley don't play well, I can guarantee you with 85% security that he will be the first person on that train to smoking.
Last point, then we'll head to break because we got Tyvus coming out. The Athletic, our guy Jason Lloyd and Joe Varden, when they made the trade for James Harden, wrote in their post-trade article that part of the reason they made that deal was Donovan said, hey, I don't think I can win with Darius. We got to bring in someone else. When you, as a player, have that much power in an organization and they give you kind of what you want and you have a pending player option hanging over everything, the pressure's on you. Fair or not. I'm not saying it's fair. It's just how the NBA works. If the Nuggets flame out in the playoffs this year, it's going to be held against Jokic. It's going to be held against Wemby. It'll be held against SGA if they don't repeat. Fair or not, that's the reality of how today's sports culture works.
And listen, if this next question when we get back ain't good, I'm blaming it on McNuggets, man. He's going to hold the L for this. Letting Tyvus come on in here and give him these hot takes every single week.
We need to ask Tyvus, fair or not, Darius Garland has not been balling the last week or so since we seen him, and he was talking about Drew Holiday and this, that, and the third. All I'm saying is the Clippers is in a play-in, and they were playing teams that was trying to get to their spot. Darius wasn't looking the same.
Man, hey, listen. Hey, I don't want to get into basketball. Let's get into something else. We'll see if he got a hotter take than he had in basketball because last week it was trash. Tyvus pile up next with a hot take right here on UCSS.